Hello everybody, and today I'm going to be doing a little video where I'm going to be talking about Rainbow Six Siege and what I think the most important updates that we should see as soon as possible are. I'm also going to be talking about a bunch of other extra information or extra additions I would like to see, but they aren't as crucial as the ones that I'm going to be mentioning at the beginning. Now, these updates aren't going to be necessarily the most difficult to implement, right? That's why I'm saying they should be added as soon as possible. I feel like these things are just going to be like, press a couple of buttons and, boom, it's fixed, right? Obviously there's a lot of other different things I would like to see, like, streams, stream, what is it called? Streamer mode, right? Stuff like that. I would love to see stuff like that, but I'm saying that these things are like smaller things that should have been in the game a long time ago and that should be added to the game as soon as possible because I think that they're relatively easy to develop, right? So these are all quality of life stuff that would make the game just better across the board. Number one, randomized customization option. Instead of having to specifically select which customization option you would like to have, um, you are able to select a random with the ability to select favorites. Once again, this is a system I'm saying that we should have had for a long time, and I'm going to keep talking about it until they add it because I want it so badly. So you know how in lots of different games, like Apex Legends, Fortnite, other games, you have the ability to select random with being able to favorite specific items. That way, every round you go in, you are able to select which ones you want to have. That should be a feature in the game. I am vastly surprised it hasn't been added to the game yet, and that should be added as soon as possible. But that isn't necessarily the biggest deal in the world. This change is I can live without this change for a bit. Number two, adjust your weapon loadouts on the R6 loadouts app. The app will be much quicker and easier to navigate than the standard R6 menu. Now, this one's a little bit more complicated to develop, but I do think that development on it should be working out as fast as possible. But I'm not gonna stress that, this one is like once again the most important thing. Um, Going and navigating through the R6 menu is tedious. It has been tedious. It has been so annoying for the last few years. It takes minutes, like tens of minutes, sometimes even upwards of a couple of hours to go through and add and change every single one of your weapon skins and every single one of your classes for every single operator and adding, attachment skins and the charms. Like I just straight up don't have charms on most of my guns because it takes so long to just the amount of time it takes to add one charm to every single weapon for every single operator. The amount of time that takes is enormous. It's like it would take long enough if I had to do it just for one gun for every operator, but to do it for every gun for every operator, it takes ages. And it has nothing to do with the fact that it's just a bunch of guns and operators. It's because of the loading times. Because you have to load in the 3D model for like all of the operators. Like when you select an operator, it loads in the 3D model, and that takes time. All of that loading time should be reduced. Obviously you could say, oh, just get a high-end PC. It shouldn't be an issue of having a high-end PC or not. You should be able to, regardless of your specs, you should be able to navigate through the system without it taking ages. It should be more user friendly. You should be able to go through a list of all of the weapons, and then from the weapons, you select the changes you want to see on both on a specific operator, and whether or not you want to see it on both operators or not. Number three, when selecting continue with same players, it will tell you what players you are searching with. Why in the hell? Like it says that like there's an option keep playing as team, right? Why in the hell does it not tell you that you're continuing to play with the same team? Like from a user experience point of view, if you select keep playing as team and you load in and go to the next match, you don't know if you're still playing with that same team until you already get into the next match. It should tell you, hey, these are the people you're playing with. Honestly, I think it should just make it so that you like somebody joins another person's party. That way that issue is completely resolved rather than having to like go and manually invite them. It just automatically brings them into the party. But at the very least, it should say you are playing with these people while you are searching into the next game. At the very least, the fact that you have no idea until you are already in the match is ridiculous. I don't know how that hasn't been like mentioned or talked about. Like that's crazy. I mean, I guess it's not the biggest deal in the world because not too many people do keep playing as team, but the fact that they have it as a feature and it's not like fleshed out is very interesting, and it should be changed. Next one, number 4. This one is hugely important. This is probably the most important thing, and I cannot believe that it hasn't been a feature. Well, I can believe it, but I really hope that it becomes a feature as soon as possible. Players can vote to keep player active or keep all players active. Keeping a player active will stop them from being kicked for inactivity. This should be a thing. It is so weird that we have to go around this little loophole of team killing people so that they don't get kicked for inactivity. And it's weird that that works. But there should be an option. If you're playing casual, there should be an option so that you keep the player active. And what the benefits of this is twofold. A, if you are playing with your friend who's going to be AFK, you don't have to keep team killing them to keep them in the game. You can just let it go. They can just say keep this player active. That means that regardless of how long they do not touch their keyboard or their controller, they will stay in the match because they are in your group. And you say I want to keep them in the game. Because essentially that's what we're doing now with the team killing, but the team killing obviously makes you lose points, and you can only do it like a couple of times before the entire team gets a penalty for it. This is ridiculous. That shouldn't be a feature. I don't know why that is a feature.
Upon editing this, I realized I didn't actually say what the other benefit was. The other benefit is that if you are a random player and you get put into a game that's currently ongoing, it means that you're not going to be put into games of lobbies that people don't want you to be in the first place. That's pretty often that you'll go into a lobby and all four of your teammates are like, I don't want this guy to be in here. I want our buddy to be in here. And if that is the case, sometimes the whole squad might even leave and you might be by yourself. So that prevents that from happening. And if you're going to be put into a random lobby with a bunch of random people, it basically guarantees that all of those people that you are joining are like basically just complete randoms, right? They're not all in a squad and they don't know each other. So yeah, that's also the other benefit that I didn't mention. Also, outside of that point, I should also, because I didn't mention this either, this should apply for both ranked and casual and unranked as well. Although, honestly, since you can't join matches mid game for ranked and unranked, like, as in, if you're random, you won't be put into a game that's already started. I don't really see what the point of having, an AFK kick timer is in ranked and unranked. There's literally no point. If somebody's AFK, just let them be AFK. The point of kicking someone for being AFK is so that you can refill those slots with people who are going to join the game and actually be there. That's why it should exist. So it shouldn't exist for games where nobody can replace that slot other than that other player, anyways. Just want to throw that out there. So although I didn't put that as part of the list, I would say that's also another thing that should be added. But I'm just going to include it as part of this one because it's basically the same thing.
Number 5. This one isn't necessarily super important. This one's just an idea. I don't think that I even necessarily want it myself, but I want to experiment with the idea of this. Reverse friendly fired is enabled by default in quick match slash casual. So, you know how you have reverse friendly fire in all of the games where if you team kill somebody, you get reverse friendly fire so that the next time you team kill somebody, you get penalized? Um, I like the feature. Don't get me wrong. Good feature. I'm glad they added it. I can't believe we went for years without it. I think that it should be enabled by default in quick match or casual, to be honest. I don't really see the downside for having it enabled by default. If you really like are team killing, I don't know. I feel like it should be enabled by default in match and casual. And ranked and unranked, keep it off. I'm fine with that. But in quick match and casual, they should be enabled by default in my opinion. But I'm also okay with them not changing it. I don't This isn't a pressing issue for me. Like if they choose to never change it, I'm not necessarily against that, but I would like for them to experiment with this idea, to be honest. Number 6, this one is a huge deal. This one is probably the number one most important one out of all of these I say. This one is the one I want the most. Reverse friendly fire can be deactivated at any time, not just within the 10-second time limit. This is huge. This is huge because with reverse friendly fire, you have a 10-second window in order for you to forgive that player. So if somebody like team kills you and you decide later, oh, actually I want to forgive this guy, you have that ability to do so, especially if you're AFK and you want to forgive your friends, because they team killed you because you were AFK. That would be nice. Granted, that wouldn't be an issue if you did my other idea of not kicking people for being AFK, but whatever, I'll live with it. This is what I want as the number one priority for the developers, is for them to add this system. And I don't think it's crazy to say this is the number one priority, because it shouldn't be that difficult to add. Instead of giving it a 10-second time limit, it should just there is no time limit. If you want to forgive someone, just select their name and select forgive, right? You don't have to wait for that 10-second window. It's weird. I don't know why you have to do it within this 10-second window. I think it's a little ridiculous, especially because there will be instances where if you team kill near the end of the round will end before you even have the opportunity to forgive them. And even if you did have the opportunity to forgive them, you wouldn't be able to watch the kill cam because the round had ended. So if you die within like 2 seconds of the round ending, you wouldn't have had the opportunity to watch the kill cam to see if it even was an accident or not. So you should be able to forgive them or not forgive them regardless. I think that that should have been a thing. I'm crazy. It's kind of weird that it's not, but like I said, number one priority, that should be it. Number 7, I believe. If a player leaves as the game ends, their teammates can choose to quote unquote forgive players. That means that the player will be awarded all the credits as if they were in the game, including MMR gain or loss, and will not receive an abandon penalty. So this happens from time to time where people their internet gets disconnected or they get dropped right before a game ends and they're not able to join back into the game before the game is over and they get an abandon penalty, and they get their MMR loss and they don't get any of the credits or anything like that. That shouldn't be a thing. The other players in the game, they should be able to choose whether or not that player is going to be forgiven or not. Because yeah, there's been a number of times where we get disconnected, and like I said, the game ends before I can rejoin, and that's super frustrating, super annoying. That shouldn't be a thing. They should have the option to forgive players, so people who do get disconnected, they have the opportunity to not receive that penalty. I don't see the downside of adding this system because you know, if you don't want to forgive players, you don't have to. It's simple as that. But if everybody else says we want to forgive this player, we want to make sure they don't get an abandon penalty, all the other players should be able to say, okay, fine, this player doesn't get an abandon penalty. I don't see a downside to this. This should be a feature. I hope Ubisoft takes this idea into consideration, because it would be very nice and it would be a huge quality of life. I would say probably that's the second most important thing I want for them behind the reverse friendly fire time limit thing. Next one. If a player leaves or is missing as/before a round starts, their teammates can choose to postpone round start once per game. This will delay the round from starting for 90 seconds to give that teammate enough time to reconnect. So, we've always been in those weird situations where somebody gets dropped right before a round starts, and, you know, the game starts and you're at a disadvantage 4-5, and that sucks. That stuff happens because connection issues happen, especially with R6. My game crashes from time to time, and it's a real bummer. So once per game, a team should be able to, if they choose, to postpone a round from starting. I want to say once per game because if you could do it as many times as you want, that would be aggravating. Like somebody disconnects and you just have to make the other team wait 90 seconds at the beginning of every single round. That would be tedious and annoying. But I think that just giving the other team enough time so that all of their players can reconnect, I think that's fine. I don't think anybody will really complain about that. Maybe I would even say you're able to do it twice per game. But yeah, at least once per game, you should be able to postpone the round start so that you can let your teammate reconnect if they are having connection issues. Um, I think that would be a great addition to the game. All right. Now we're getting into the stuff that is stuff I would like to see, but isn't necessarily on the top of my list in priorities. But let me know what you guys think about it. New ranked rules. you can tie a ranked or unranked match. So instead of it being first to seven with a best of three tiebreaker, right? So that would go like, basically it's like first to four, unless if it goes three to three, then it goes first to five, right? So instead of that, um, the best of three will be changed to a best of four. So instead of it going from first to five, it is going to first to six. But if it goes five to five, the game is over. That's a tie. That's what you call a tie game. If there is a tie, the game will tie. There will be no MMR gain or loss. So that way, if you get to that point where it's five to five, then it's like, okay, tie game. No gains, no losses. Now, many might argue with this concept, but it's important to remember that ranked is supposed to match you against players of equal skill. If you are so closely matched together, such that you will perfectly tie, you end up going five to five, then clearly you're at the same skill level, and you shouldn't be going up or down in MMR. There's been so many times where the defender literally wins every single round. In fact, it happened to me like multiple times last season, where literally the defenders won every single round, and defenders, the team that won was basically the team that won that coin flip of, hey, I got defense on the last round, so they win the game. That happened multiple times, especially on like maps like Clubhouse and Villa, where defenders literally won every single round. Attackers didn't win a single round. We are clearly evenly matched. The game shouldn't decide that we are worse or better than these players. We are equal. We should not be having the same amount of MMR loss or gain as if the game had consisted the entire, as if the game had persisted the entire, full length, right? If it is 4-0, you should be earning a lot of MMR because you are clearly much better than that other player. But if you are 5-5, you are evenly matched. There should be no MMR gain or loss. This should be a feature. Anyways, next, there will be a little icon in the corner of your screen, very small and out of the way, that will denote which mode you are playing: ranked, casual, unranked, PvE, or other. I think that would be nice. So, it's useful for if you're watching footage, you can immediately tell and understand the importance of that footage, right? Because if you see an amazing moment of like, oh, this guy did this amazing thing, it's hard to judge whether or not it's amazing or not, because it could be in casual, it could be in unranked, it could be in ranked. You don't understand the stakes behind it. Like, there's a pretty big difference between, winning the last round of a match when it's unranked and winning the last round of a match when it's ranked. And viewers, people who are watching the footage after the fact, won't know or understand the significance because it's impossible to tell. Ranked and unranked footage looks identical. Casual can sometimes look identical, but obviously casual has, you know, different maps that are not available in unranked, and plus the score limit is different. But yeah, there should be a way to distinguish whether or not you're watching casual, unranked, and ranked, or PvE or other footage. It'd be nice. Also, it'd be useful for streamers. If somebody's streaming, you don't know what the hell they're playing. You could just immediately look and say, "Oh, they're playing this mode because I can see that little emblem." And like I said, it's like very out of the way. It's not going to be big. It's going to be like smaller than the reinforcement symbol. It's not going to be an inconvenience for anybody. Next up, pressing the scoreboard button or the tab menu will tell you which operators are banned along with which sites that the defending team in that current round has won. So for example, if you banned, Mira, Capitao, Clash, and Blackbeard, right? Just as an example, you can press the tab menu and you can see which operators are banned. Because sometimes you're playing around and you forget which operators are banned. It happens, you know? Um, and it's also convenient for streamers who are like, which operators are banned? Instead of them asking or having to say, or trying to remember, they could just be like, oh, tab button, there it is on the screen. Simple as that, right? It's super convenient. I don't see the issue with it. Like I said, it's in the tab menu, so it's not on your screen. It's not like overwhelming. It's out of the way. You can choose to access that information if you wish. I don't see why not. I think it would be a really good addition. And as far as the sites that the defending team has won, once again, this is kind of just like, having it supplements that memory fixture, right? So it's like, it's not necessarily the most important thing, but it would be nice of like, okay, we are going into the prep phase, right? And we have our drones. I can press the tab menu and see, okay, they won this site and this site. That means that they can't be going there anymore. As an attacker, that's very useful information that you should be able to have. And as a defender, sometimes just in case if you forget, oh, I forgot which operator or I forgot which sites that they won. You can just take a look and see, okay, these are the sites that they won. I think it would be nice. Yeah. Next up, if a player is killed while injured, the credit will go to the player who injured them. So, very often you have these problems with people complaining about kill stealing. Instead of that having to be a mainstay issue, just if somebody's downed and another person finishes them off, just give the credit to the person who injured them. This is a system in a whole bunch of games. A lot of battle royale games they do this. If you injure somebody and somebody else finishes them off, you still get the credit for the kill because you should get the credit for the kill. You incapacitated that person. You put them in a state where they're not able to fight back. If they're finished off by someone else, you should get the credit for putting them in that state in the first place. I don't think anybody, I don't think really too many people are going to disagree with this feature because if you're really getting so many kills on people that are downed, truth be told, you probably don't deserve those kills. The person who downed them deserves the kills, okay? That's just how it should be. The same even applies for team kills, right? Like if somebody gets downed and a teammate kills that person that was down, it should still go to the credit to the person that downed them. I think that would be nice. Last but not least, you can select 2 of 30 different languages that you speak that are available to be viewed in game. If a language you selected to view, um, if a language is selected to view, then these languages, along with the flags that can represent it, will be right next to your player's name. That way players can know what languages other people speak if they randomly meet them online. For example, if you're playing, on PC and you live in Europe, it's very common that you're going to see a bunch of different people who speak bunch of different languages, and it would be nice to see, oh, this person has the UK flag and the Hungarian flag marked. That means that they speak Hungarian and English. That means I can speak with this person in Hungarian or English. Because very often, if you meet random people online, you know, it would be it can be kind of confusing. You don't know. Sometimes you can meet people, play the entire game with them, not even having known that they actually spoke a language that you speak as well. So yeah, if they throw like 30 of the most common languages that are used in Rainbow Six Siege on there, Spanish, French, Portuguese, Polish, all those different languages, Bahasa Indonesia, all of those languages. That way, if you're playing and you see somebody and you see that they have the little uh, like flag that represents the language that they speak, or maybe the words that say what the language is, like DE for German, FR for French, stuff like that. You could be like, oh, this person speaks this language. That way, I can know that I could communicate with this person in this language. Something that I would have otherwise probably not have known because they would have just talked to me in English. Anyways, those are all of the major changes I would like to see. I have a bunch of other like balancing changes, but those are just, I don't expect them to be added immediately. All of these changes I would like to see as soon as possible because I don't think they're relatively difficult to implement. But the quality of life additions, these quality of life additions would benefit the community as a whole in pretty much every way, I think. I don't think there's really any of these ideas. I don't think really too many people are against any of these ideas. Um, if and maybe they might be against the ranked rules, right? Maybe they are against like the whole you are able to tie a match. Sure, whatever. I disagree with you because, like I said, you should be able to tie games if you're at equal skill. But I can understand why you would disagree. Or maybe the reverse friendly fire is enabled by default. I can understand why you would disagree with that. But all these other ideas, I don't think anybody's going to have any issues with them. But if you do, please let me know. I'm very curious to see if there's potential downsides that I missed. Uh, but yeah, thank you guys for listening in. And I'll make another video about my balancing changes relatively soon enough. So take it easy. Next up, pressing the scoreboard button or the tab menu will tell you which operators are banned along with which maps. Okay. Next up, pressing the scoreboard menu